Welcome. You're listening to the Leading Hope Podcast. My name is VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day to become a better leader. If you're new, we release a new episode every Wednesday. We'd love for you to download that on your favorite podcast platform. Also, hit the subscribe button and share this with a friend on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Please rate and review on Apple Podcast. A few extra minutes doing that will help us get this podcast in the hands of so many more leaders just like you, getting better like us. Visit leadinghope.online, get updates, find out more about Leading Hope Community. We continue. Actually, we finalize. Complete.
I should probably be by my microphone.
Testelastaya. What's that word?
Tetelestai.
Thank you. There we go. That one.
Didn't know what you were saying
That
at
one.
first.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out.
It is finished.
That is it. That's what we're doing here.
By the end of this episode, it is finished.
It will be. And this one is 177. Called this the Transformer. Leading well, no matter where you are, is the series.
Yep. So wrapping up our series, Leading Well, no matter where you are today. Today, I want to talk about this idea of how do you become the Transformer?
Yes. How do you?
He sang the whole time leading up to this episode. He would not quit singing.
I'm an old
the
man.
Stupid Transformers.
No one would know
song.
the Transformers
And then he
song.
actually gets into the moment.
Here's a question.
Where he can sing more than meets the eye. Yeah. And he completely didn't even, just struck out looking. No swing and a miss.
I was here. Just for fun, if you know the Transformers song, tell us. That you know it.
So how do you become someone who can help transform context, who can help transform the organization that you're in? And we've been throughout this whole series, we said, hey, if leaders do not become conscious of the culture and context they interact with and are embedded in, those cultures will manage them. And so today, I want to give this idea that a good leader is successful in a specific context, while a great leader is able to create impact in a variety of contexts. And one of the things I see is I'll see people step out of active leadership in a specific organization and move into more of a consulting role. Mm-hmm. And then all of their consultant is attempting to turn the organization they're consulting with into the organization that they led. Sorry, I just think that's so funny.
Do you have any examples?
No, I absolutely would not share them, even if I did.
Okay, I just didn't know if you did.
But that idea is to say, I did this one thing well. And so, yes, there's some principles. Yes, there's some pieces that you learn that are significant. And yes, even for some people, replicating the model is maybe their easiest, quickest path to success. But I believe that a good leader is able to be successful in a specific context. A great leader knows how to create change in any context, no matter where they are. And that's what we're after. We're after the fact that wherever we're dropped in, that we can discern where it is. We've listened, we've walked around, we've heard the stories, we've asked questions. We can discern where it is. We can gain insight on where it needs to be, and we can lead it there in a healthy way. I believe good leaders can lead anywhere. Great leaders can lead anywhere. Good leaders can lead somewhere. And so what are the things that you can put in place that say, hey, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what I'm leading, these are some principles that help me impact change, okay? So today I want to walk through things that I believe are universally applicable. And I don't think any of them you're going to go, oh, I've never heard of this before. But you may have very much overlooked it because you didn't think it was that significant because maybe it wasn't new or novel. So 3 ways that you can lead well no matter where you are, and so that you can be someone who transforms organizations. First idea, increase diversity. Okay? Increase diversity. This section, to give a full discussion on this, it would take us hours and hours and hours that we don't have. Okay?
20 minutes or less.
So this section, I'm only talking about the benefits of diversity, not always how you accomplish that, all the issues along the way. Okay? So just know there's pieces that are important that I'm not going to be able to touch on in any way. But I just want to give you some aspects of this. First idea, diversity increases adaptive capacity. the more turbulent the environment that you're in, the more important it is for the organization to maximize diversity, because diversity reduces blind spots and it increases options. By having different perspectives based upon different backgrounds, and when I say diversity, I mean across the board, every single aspect of diversity, okay? We're not just talking racial, ethnic, we're talking gender, we're talking age, we're talking income, we're talking background, we're talking country that you were born in. Like, every single one of these pieces are applicable. Okay. The more diversity you have, the less blind spots you will have, and the more creative options that will be brought to the table. People who have only ever existed in one context together will not have the level of creativity of people who have served in a variety of capacities. We see this like in a really simple way, just when we do service planning.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us who are part of our service planning served in different churches and different spots before we were in. And so when it comes to like, hey, we have this issue, like immediately we're not trying to imagine every possible scenario. There's real quick, well, here we did it like this, and here we did it like this, and here this worked well.
Yeah.
Or just say real simply, okay? When you increase diversity, you reduce blind spots and you increase options. This is effective no matter where you are, okay? No matter where you are. Now, I just want to give this one note, and again, this isn't a sufficient note for the conversation that's needed fully on this, but I would just say, like, I believe that diversity must be born out of humility and the value of each individual. That's just like kind of an essential key to that if that desire for diversity is not built around a value for each individual, then every single piece of this will be counteracted and it'll probably blow up in your face and not go well. So that is number one, increase diversity. Number two, create psychological safety. Leaders must be able to understand the deeper levels of a culture. We talked about that in episode 175, to assess the functionality of the assumptions made at that level, and to deal with the anxiety, that's fun, that is unleashed when those assumptions are challenged. This is what I'm saying real simply, okay? You need to know why people get upset when things change. If you're going to be able to effectively and adequately deal with the impact of that change, okay? Just know when you change stuff, someone is going to be annoyed. Someone is going to be aggravated. If you're not prepared in your understanding of your context to grasp why that anxiety is created, you cannot effectively deal with it. And the way that you effectively deal with it is by proactively creating psychological safety. Now, I want to give you just a list right here. V, just to make sure we're on the same page, when I say psychological safety, what's in your head?
Safe space.
Okay. What's it mean for you? Because that's not language you use.
I mean, that's what it, yeah, I mean, for me, psychological, ask it a different way.
If I was to describe to someone a work environment that felt healthy, when I say safe, I don't mean, because this is where I wanted to clarify in the conversation, I don't mean free from confrontation.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people do. No one will challenge me. No one will correct me.
Oh, yeah.
That's not what we mean.
No, I think of high trust.
Okay.
Yeah, high trust. Like, you can say what you want. I'm not going to get offended, and I'm not going to hate you, and I'm going to try to move with you to where we need to go.
I'm not shocked if I get fired.
No.
It doesn't come out of the blue.
Right.
I'm not walking into work every day wondering who's going to be mad at me, what don't I know about.
Right.
Good. Anything you'd add to that?
No, that's just high trust environment.
Cool. So that's what, when we're talking about creating psychological safety, that's the idea that we're talking about. And I just want to give you some simple tools of creating that psychological safety. One, a compelling positive vision. Not a vision that states that everything that is wrong that needs to change, but one that people are inspired by. When you have clearly defined this is where we're headed, there is safety in our everyday actions, because we understand if we're doing something that significantly contributes to that, we've got no reason to be concerned about employment or other things. So a compelling positive vision creates psychological safety. Formal training, practice sessions, and coaches, anything you can do to increase somebody's competency in their work. People don't feel safe if they feel like the job that they're doing, they suck at. Okay. If people feel like they are doing a terrible job, they don't feel like they're safe in their work. And again, I don't mean safe as free from like confrontation, free from correction or any one of those other things. I mean high trust environment. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Positive role models create psychological safety. Having people in the organization who are high character. I heard Ernie Johnson, TNT analyst years ago, said the best way to lead, one of the easiest ways to lead, is if your best player is also your best person.
Oh, that's good.
If the person who is the most talented also has the most character, then leadership is so easy.
That's good.
And so you do that by creating positive role models. Systems and structures that are consistent with the new way of thinking and working, okay? If the process is aligned with the values and the vision, then people feel like, hey, I don't have to memorize process because it's far more intuitive and it makes sense. And then the last one I want to give here on the list is good upward communication. Without it, organizations will never be safe or effective. And this is really important, is your communication model, especially talking to people who manage larger organizations, okay? Your communication structure is not your organizational structure, okay? Your communication structure is not the same thing as the decision-making structure. Just because they report to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so does not mean they cannot directly talk to the person who is 3 or 4 levels up or the person who is on the other side. Good upward communication, knowing, hey, if there's an issue, if there's a problem, I can just go and talk to that person. That creates high trust. That creates psychological safety. V, anything you want to jump into on those?
Nope, keep going.
Okay, last one here then. The transformer, and that is, you can lead well no matter where you are by dealing with the past without getting trapped by it. I love this. This list is not my list. This list came from the book How to Lead What You Didn't Start by Tyler Reagan. And I thought this was fantastic. And these are just some of the things. And again, all these lists, they're in the show notes, okay? Because I know we're going through these fast. If you're listening to this as you're driving, no matter where you are, my hope is at least you can grab one of them and go, I can implement that. Oh, I need to be clear on positive role models. Oh, I need to be better at good, positive, upward communication. But if you need to go back and reference the list, that's why they're there. So how do you deal with the past without getting trapped by it? You celebrate appropriately. You honor the right things. You shift focus. So when I'm talking about where we need to go, I love this phrase. When I'm talking about where we need to go, it's not a reflection of good or bad within the organization. It's a direction for the future. This helped me so much. Just say like, hey, I can talk about a future that is different than the present without it being a criticism of the present.
It's good.
Okay. Just say, this is just a shift. We're going in a new direction. I'm not saying anything negative about the past, but I am saying something positive about our future. So shifting focus, casting that new compelling vision was part of his list, which is part of the compelling positive vision that creates psychological safety. And then last off, and this is key, is that eventually you have to move on from honoring. Instead of honoring the right things, you need to now give value to the new things that you're seeking to build upon. There are people in your organization, especially if you're new, okay? There are people in your organization who should be celebrated not as an influence ploy, but because of the significant things that they have done that has enabled your organization to get to where it is today. Honor is deserved, okay? It says, give honor where honor should be given. I think I botched that verse.
Okay.
Thank you very much on that. But at a certain point in time, you have to move on from honoring and you have to begin to talk about the future and the things that need to be built upon.
It's good. That's good. You said something earlier that I thought just struck a chord with me, just in the fact that you said these the leaders need to understand the deeper levels of culture and assess the functionality of assumptions made at that level and deal with the anxiety that's unleashed when those assumptions are challenged or changed, I think you might have said. Because, look, I mean, any organization that's growing, that has a future, like you just said, that you want to live into, things change.
Yeah.
They don't stay the same. And we know that some people, I mean, more than we would like, get anxiety when you just ask them to do something, let alone change something.
Fair.
Right? So, I mean, when knowing that, what are you within these? I like what you said about like character of the leader is the best role model. Like, that makes complete sense. Shout out, Ernie, if you're listening. But, like, what are those systems and structures that are consistent? What are the things that you're helping people see that change is coming? I mean, you put it in the values. Specifically here, you put it in the values at Highland Park, that, you know, like we change on I can't even say it now, my gosh, on a dime.
Turn on
a dime. Like, we write those out, but then how do you live in that as time goes on?
Yeah, how do you actually make sure it's part of the process?
Yeah, because you've told it,
we
reviewed it, and we've brought it up in strategic meeting, but within the environments of which that needs to be lived out, how do you construct a structure that makes sense for everyone that says, okay, it's not a big deal, we're changing this from this, because it's who we are?
Well, I would say, like, if you look at, like, your organizational, I think the word is agility.
Yeah.
How quickly it can move from one position to another can be attributed to a couple things. Like, number one is, like, who actually has the authority to make the decisions.
Yeah.
Another one is, how often do processes change within the church? Because if change is rare, then when change is attempted to be implemented, it's going to be an uphill battle every time.
Yeah.
If change actually becomes the norm, then it's crazy. So what I'm saying is,
no, that makes sense.
The less change you have, the bigger the fights are going to be.
Yeah.
The more change you have, the less significant fights you're going to have about it.
That makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, the more you do something, the more you becomes normalized.
Yeah.
That's good. When you say deal with the past without getting trapped in it, do you want to talk about anything, example, specific, anything that you've worked out in your tenure in any of the places that you've served?
Well, let me just say it as I will hear people talk about new vision, new future. I'll hear senior leaders talk about new vision, new future. And then they never deal with change at the level of systems. And they go, well, nothing's going to change. Like, that's it. And sometimes, and then to put the, like, more, like, spiritual component upon it. And I don't mean necessarily, like, Holy Spirit component. I mean, like, spiritual element of it is we get into this piece of honoring the past, which I believe is important. Give honor where honor is due. There we go. That's the verse.
Yep.
And we never move on from that.
Right.
And so now we're actually, we've actually, instead of the past just being there, now we've built walls around it that we're actually trapped by because we got ourselves stuck in it.
That's great.
And so if I could make it, like, real simple, one of the best ways to give honor is to specify what are the virtues and values that you're honoring.
That's great. Because
otherwise people will make an assumption. Yeah. We want to honor them. Well, they may have done something really significant, but if they're a butt now, and you honor them, now you have made a hero of the person who is now counteracting your vision.
That's good.
So say, I want to honor this about them and what they did, because then you're able to uphold the virtue as the thing that should be embodied.
I think that's incredibly important and rare.
Yeah.
I don't think that's so. I can tell you that for myself, I held a belief in a life present or past that was, if I did this, whatever it is, long enough, that I deserve to be honored.
That's good.
Right? Like, I did this position. I was a web development director for 19 years. I should be honored for sticking it out that long. Like, we have these belief systems that says, because I did it, even if I did it great, like, that's fine. But just because of my tenure at this thing, that I am deserving of a set of circumstances that differs from someone who didn't do it. And I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it's right. I think we can't honor people for just that thing alone.
It's good.
It should have been my character that I did it at, or how I cared for people, right, that I did, that it was looked at, or how I was able to help people move from here to there, right? Coaches get it wrong every day in the world. They think that just because I won this thing, that's great, right? That's great that you won, but did the kid become a better person in the process? Yeah. That's the thing we honor. And so I just think as we move and get dealt from our past experiences, it's so important. What do you got?
Good. And so to kind of close this out in this series, let me give you one note and one assignment.
Whoa, how about that?
So first note, don't blame bad outcomes on anyone but yourself. Context cannot be the fault. You are the leader. If you blame context, you will never be able to change context and you will continuously exist in the same environment that you've been in. That's not your role. You're the transformer. So here's your assignment, is to ask simply this: am I successful in one thing? Am I successful in one thing, or am I able to be successful in all things? I really believe that a good leader can lead in an environment. A great leader can lead in any environment. And so just pause for a second and say, like, am I an expert on this model, or am I actually becoming effective as a leader as a whole? And I could just give like a word of caution. Be cautious, consultants who go out and to try to turn everything into the one thing that you built.
That's good. That's good.
That's it.
As my friend Rob Schneider would say in one of Adam Sandler's memes, you can do it. All right. Thank you for joining 177, The Transformer. Thank you for joining us. If you're new to the podcast or haven't yet subscribed, it means the world to us if you did that now. So post about it, rate and review, or both. You won't believe how that helps get the podcast in the hands of so many more leaders just like you, learning to get better like us. And we love hearing your stories of how the podcast is working in your life and business. If you have a story, visit leadinghope.online and send that to us. We would love to hear from you. And remember, everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count. Woo!